Welcome to By Any Means Live Show. Come on and give it up. Clap your hands. All right. I am Ryan Jones. I am the producer here for By Any Means podcast, and we welcome you to our very first live show. We thank you so much for joining us. If you will, please go on to our Facebook, our Instagram, and YouTube. Please like and share and subscribe, okay? Share it to all of your friends so that they can join in to this wonderful conversation that we're going to have tonight. This special live episode of By Any Means is both a celebration and a charge. Together, we are witnessing a shift in overdose deaths in Black communities are beginning to decline. This is no accident. It is the result of fierce grassroots harm reduction led by people with lived experience like me, with love, resistance, and cultural strategy at the core. But the fight is far from over. Harm reduction is under attack, and we must protect it at all costs. This conversation invites each and every one of you to honor what's working, spotlight the brilliance of Black led harm reduction, and join in bold action to keep our people alive and unbound. Again, my name is Ryan Jones. I am the producer here by any means. I want you all to make some noise for our wonderful hosts, Henry Lucas and Sharita Walden.
Hey, what's going on, sis? What's going on, yo? We are back. It is good to be here. Isn't this nice?
Yes, it is. Is my mic on? Okay, we just need to make sure. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm just getting back from Colombia. It was a good trip. Yeah.
I can't wait to hear about you being in Colombia.
Yeah.
More. I know I've heard
Yeah.
some of it, but I want everyone to know why. So
Yeah.
as we get started, you're gonna have to share.
Yeah. We'll share. We'll share. But this is unprecedented. This is something that we've not done before. Where are we at right now?
As far as our podcast.
No, like where are we at right now? Like let the viewers at home,
Oh,
know where are we
okay,
at?
sorry. All right, I'm here, you guys. I'm here. We are in our health and wellness lounge. So we are taping live and in person, you all. We have an audience here. Yay. Thanks for everybody coming out. And we have our virtual audience, but we're here at the Health and Wellness Lounge. It's at 721 South Brook Street. Our team is here. So for those of you that are still making your way, you'll still be able to get inside because I have people at the door, okay? But yes, that's where we're at today. We're in our lounge.
Yeah, and what happens here
So,
on a weekly, just so that like folks that like in Louisville, folks maybe in Kentucky, but also all around the country, or maybe even the world, what do we do here?
at our Health and Wellness Lounge, we like to say it's the living room, right? This space is a welcoming space for individuals who may not have anywhere to go during the day. So that doesn't just apply to people who are houseless. We're talking about individuals who find that they have no other place to sit, to feel safe, to access resources in the community. We're right in the hub of Louisville's downtown area where we have our medical district. So a lot of folks have found this space to be the most accessible when they're trying to get to and from their doctor's offices, to and from the Goodwill. And these are partners of ours, Millvale Hospital, Norton Hospital, and Goodwill Opportunity Campus, and other community resources like our neighbors next door, which is Vocal Kentucky, Voices of Community Activists and Leaders. Here, folks can access information, but what they find is community. We bring communities together. And that's what's lovely about our drop in space. It's not just any other space, it's a space where a person can show up exactly as they are and not be forced to become something else. But we're here to be a part of their journey and whatever that looks like.
Yeah, yeah. And before we really get in, shout out to Ryan. Thank you, Ryan, for
Yes.
all that you do behind the scenes. Shout out to the staff that are here for support. on this Saturday
Yes.
night. Yeah. And thank you to Feed Louisville, which is a local organization in Louisville, Kentucky, for providing the food for tonight. We're grateful for you.
Yes. Thank you.
And, if you're online, please, go to our website, click the links, like, share, comment, subscribe, donate, and also feel free to support and help out the other local organizations that are really making this possible. So we've got a incredible show planned for you tonight. Just a little bit of backstory how we got here. We've been rocking for well over a decade together in a lot of different spaces, and we always have just dope conversations, real conversations, and I really appreciate you because I feel like I can be me around you and not be judged, which really I think allows for us to have some of the really cool conversations that we have, and we're really here to bring it to you so that you can see what it looks like for folks to really have tough, difficult, intimate conversations. So
Yeah. That's centered around love. How by any means was birth is because a lot of people will ask, how do you talk to each other? Like, that's a real question. How do you talk about these difficult concepts or topics like around race, lack of access, privilege, white supremacy? How do you do that with someone who doesn't look like you? And what it really boils down to is relationship and love, radical love. And it's hard to explain. So what we did was say we need to just show people how to do it, how we do it, and how we navigate those terrains. So what we bring to everyone is this isn't just any other podcast. It's unfiltered. It's not regulated by us holding back how we feel. We talk authentically. These are transparent conversations. All of that is brought on live in front of people so that we can stop just talking about what we do and actually demonstrate it. So that's how we've been doing this since January, February.
yeah,
And we picked up quite a following. Today, we have over 100 plus folks who join our podcast regularly now, and that is absolutely amazing. We have so many people who are interested in coming and having these conversations. So uh, this is our first time doing a live and in person, and it was driven out of people wanting to build these connections more. So I appreciate folks taking a step forward with us on this journey, and we're going to continue to do this, right?
yeah. And if you're at home, feel free to comment. Feel free to drop something in the comment section. We're regularly checking those, and if you want to be seen and want to be heard, just let us know, and we'll give you a shout out. So, well, let's get to it, sis.
Yes. So before we jump in, I would love for people to hear your why. You just came back from Colombia,
Yeah, Columbia.
right?
Yeah.
Colombia. No, Henry's not trafficking anything into the United States. For those of you all that started thinking Colombia, so explain first why you were in Colombia. Like, let's go ahead and let everybody know before they start creating narratives in their head.
Well, when you just preface it by saying he's not trafficking anything, people are like, yeah, I'm sure he's trafficking something. And Mom, if you're watching, I just had some memories flash back of a long time ago when I was up to no good, and my mom would set me straight. So I appreciate you, Mom. I want to start off really by saying I'm a survivor of the opioid crisis, and we are over 20 years into this opioid crisis in the United States, and consistently lose over 100,000 Americans every year. We've lost over 1 million in the last 20 years to failed drug war, ignorant politicians, uh, uh, outdated and prehistoric addiction treatment options. And I think really what we're up against is stigma. And so Columbia this year was the host for the International Harm Reduction Conference, and I had the opportunity to submit some proposals, and one of the proposals got accepted. And I was able to talk about Kentucky Harm Reduction Coalition in Columbia, in Bogota, with people from all around the world. And if you don't know, now you know. And I was actually surprised and impressed with our reputation and what we're doing in a conservative state where the opioid crisis started in eastern Kentucky, that people know that we're out here and what we're doing. There are states still where it is illegal to distribute unused syringes, and there are people that are still providing syringes to their community. And so I'm grateful for those of us that do it in this space, and I'm just as grateful for people that are doing harm reduction underground and off-site. So it was really incredible to be down there. You know, Columbia really has a history of war and of being desolate, and it is emerging as such a vibrant, beautiful country with just rich history and culture that comes through everything that they do. I want to share one quick thing about Columbia. There's a house in Columbia that was it was a drug trafficker's house, and the government seized the house. And now inside the house, they do drug checking. They provide safe use supplies for people that choose to use drugs. They provide support, education. They have a marijuana grow room in there. And if folks that come to this drop-in center, if they want to use drugs, they will transport them down the street to a safe injection site. And by the way, in the last 30 years, throughout the world, since we've had safe consumption, safe injection sites, there has never been one documented fatality on site at any of these places in the last 30 years.
Wow.
Which is it's interesting, right? And our governor a couple weeks ago just announced, and this is kind of what we'll get into. Our governor a couple weeks ago just announced that we had a 30.2% decrease in fatal overdoses in the state of Kentucky. The previous year, in 2023, it was like maybe 9 or 10%. So it like more than tripled in the last year. But I think more importantly than that, I'll let you share this next stat.
Y'all see how he just did that. I was listening to Henry, so I told y'all this is live and unfiltered. More importantly than that, or just as important, is that the decrease was significant for the Black community, which I want to go ahead and celebrate, because having my team sit right here in front of me, kudos to you all. Like,
Yep.
that.
Yep.
And I'm not just saying that. Having the privilege of having Dr. Brodus this week meet with us and show us data, which we will be sharing as leaders with our team, but to give you, an update so that you can go, wow, for yourself. The data is directly from the zip codes, the spaces that our team has occupied. So that is direct impact from Kentucky Harm Reduction Coalition, which is a Black women-led organization right now, right?
Yes, go ahead for
Yes.
that. Go ahead for that.
So when our governor announced the decrease, it feels really good. Like, we don't want people to be confused. This is a moment to really embrace and celebrate survival, strategy, thriving, and the sacred work that we do, which is harm reduction. And I'm going to say it loud and proud. It is harm reduction that directly impacted that decline.
Yeah, I want to say something else too about that. The previous year, when the majority of the population saw a decrease of like 8 or 9%, there was actually an increase in fatal overdose deaths in the brown and Black community by like 11, 12, 13%.
Yes.
So the fact that in a year, it didn't just start from zero, right? I mean, that's significant.
Exactly.
And when I watched the governor give his speech, he didn't acknowledge openly harm reduction.
No.
But, he acknowledged treatment centers. And this isn't about, getting people to treatment. This is about keeping people alive. And I don't know really how successful our treatment centers are at keeping people alive.
Right.
Right?
And that's not a dig. It's just written in fact.
It is. It's one of those things. It's an impact.
Yes.
Right? And it also highlights and shows how outdated that system is, given the current climate and the circumstances that we're in right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and helping people. So today's discussion is really going to focus and highlight, because we want to make sure that information and messaging is accurate and the conversations are accurate. And for people to know how to use their voice and how to fight, right? The message this week, folks have talked to me, and the feedback was centered around the people really wanting to know, how did the treatment and recovery programs actually bring these numbers down? And that's a great question. They didn't, because the work that you take to reduce an overdose is the prevention work of providing overdose strategies. Treatment is a form, which we are a part of the treatment ecosystem, is what I call it. And for professionals in this field, they like to hear the continuum of care, right? We're in that. But when we're talking about people living and that number that decline, those are not individuals who are in a treatment program. And I want to make that clear to our virtual audience and the folks in this space. That does not mean that those individuals are in a treatment bed or an outpatient treatment program. When we drop those numbers, that simply means someone has another opportunity on this journey of recovery that they're on. That their life was saved by this medication or other harm reduction resources.
And I can't help but to think about, in 2010, I got a phone call from my mom that my sister had died. First person I ever known that had died. And I think about all my friends and clients. I think about colleagues and how many people that I've lost who are speaking from a grave, and the message is very loud and clear. And so I want all of those people to know that their legacy lives on, and it is apparent through the work that we're doing and how we've been able to significantly decrease these fatal overdose deaths in the last couple years, and particularly with last year.
Yeah.
So I want us to take a moment online and in here. I want us to take just a quick pause and just recall those people that were in your life that are no longer with us because of a failed war on drugs and because of this opioid crisis. And know that they live on through us, and we have to continue to tell the stories for people that aren't here to tell their own stories. Because this is what I'm starting to learn and figure out, that stigma kills more people than fentanyl.
Mhm.
Stigma. And so what's the opposite of stigma? It's celebration.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, we're here tonight really to celebrate, but these stories are worth celebrating every single day,
Every day.
right? And so that's really my call for us. My call to action is for us to continue to celebrate, because it's been dark.
It has.
It's been hard, right? There's been opposition. And it's really about us coming together.
Yeah. And celebrating, you know, not just KYHRC and the work that we do, but there's so many people who were a part of this. And I'm not even just talking about the agencies. I'm talking about the families. I'm talking about the families, the parents that have volunteered their time to make kits because they lost a son or a daughter or a child, a family member. I'm talking about the people in Eastern Kentucky that access mail-based our mail-based distribution program to get Narcan privately and secretly. The people who are in the shadows, who are not openly talking about this because of risk, that they're, you know what, that they don't take because there are places they live that don't understand. I'm talking about the families that work with us that go out on their own and advocate and learned how to use Narcan and have used it in their community. Or one of our team members who lost her daughter from the Latino community, who's been out training every person she knows in her neighborhood, in her home, through her language, which is Spanish, making sure in our Somalian communities that are doing this work. So I want to celebrate the folks who do this work that didn't get a shout out on Tuesday at the Capitol. And
Yeah.
that's real.
Yeah, yeah. And I can't forget to shout out the people that are still doing harm reduction underground and off record.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of them.
And it is all of our individual and collective responsibility to take care of our community, because we know that people in charge sometimes, maybe most of the time, all the time, I don't know, our best interest isn't in their mind.
Right.
So, so what do you think it is, though, Shrita, that these numbers decrease? Like, what's the action, or what's the philosophy? What's the change that we're really seeing, like, in this work? Help our audience here and at home kind of understand, well, what would it take to decrease those fatal overdose deaths significantly like that?
Well, when we look at the numbers that decrease in the community that has been underserved historically and was not recognized, we have to look at the Black brilliance of it all. Okay, it's going to take us to save us, and that is harm reduction language, period. But it is really important in harm reduction that what we demonstrate is that every member at that table, every community member, is represented. And when you look at the numbers that didn't decrease, and you look at those spaces that we're trying to help, you have to question, were there people who look like them from cultures of the similar cultures of the people you're trying to engage? Were they at the table? Were they participating in the planning and the strategy and the engagement work? Were they out there doing the outreach? And what I believe shifted was when we started really getting intentional, saying, oh, wait a minute, there's a lot of white people at this table, but not enough black people. Like, we started really looking at that and started saying, how do we expect to address communities if we do not make sure that communities are surrounded around the solution and not later on around the solution, right? Not saying, here's the pathway and now you take it and you figure this out for your community. It's saying, let's pull the path, let's pull it together. So it takes very intentional work from all of us. I am not from Eastern Kentucky. And I tried very hard to start one of our programs of engaging the counties surrounding Jefferson County, and found that professionally I knew this was going to be a big feat. But that harm reduction principle of having people at the table to help you execute things like this, oh, we needed it. It was a great journey in the beginning to understand that it applies for all of us. We needed individuals a part of all aspects of our outreach program. And when we're talking about a space that I did not grow up in, I have no connection to, I need to have folks who are connected to those counties. So bringing on an outreach member, outreach specialist who has connections, family connections from these spaces, we started to see the impact more. We started seeing more engagement. Was it still hard? Absolutely. But the hard for someone who is from an area is that they're more intentional about how to engage. They can come back to me and say, hey, I know we're supposed to try it this way, but I got to end with this group over here that may not be completely harm reduction. But since I can get in with this group over here, because I'm connected, I'm going to spread out from there. It applies for all of us, because I want everyone to hear that it's not just one way when I'm talking about Black and Indigenous people and people of color. I'm talking about all of us. I'm talking about looking at our geography, looking at where we're from. And I like to tell people, for our virtual audience, we got a door open. So this is live, just letting you know, because I get distracted. You all know that by now. Where was I at?
Well, can I jump in for just a second?
Yes, please do.
Because when you get distracted, that's my opportunity
Yes,
to talk.
you know.
Because she long-winded. I don't even think she breathes most of the time. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
You're amazing. And I'm sitting over here. And I'm thinking, I appreciate you and appreciate the Black community's effort and just the history of community. And honestly, it's one thing that as a white person, that I don't really have a sense of a real community, right? And never really have. And family, right? And so I want to ask a question. As a white person, I want to ask a question. How can we celebrate and acknowledge the Black community without it feeling tokenized and without it coming across as being condescending or scapegoating the guilt that we might feel onto you? And that question just dropped in, so I'm going to go with it.
That was a great question. The first step is you're going to have to release the fact that no matter how you approach this thing, we're going to feel that. I'm just going to be honest about it. I don't care if you come up and say, I know my whiteness, I know I'm racist, I know this. There's still going to be feelings. And I think that's why I like doing this. It's going to have to be relationship built. It's walking into the room saying, don't trust me, try me, which was my campaign slogan. It really is that. Try me. I want to get to know what's the next step, but the only way to do that is to say, so where did you say you were from again? I've been there one time. So what is that like? You want to go for a cup of coffee? Where do you like to drink coffee? You don't want to drink coffee with me because you're really okay. Do you want to chat a little bit on the phone? It is really about building relationships. And I think that's what we move so far away from is we have, and that's the good, what did I call it at a conference I had yesterday? The good, well-meaning folks. The good, well-meaning folks come in and say, this is my license, this is my title, and I am going to do good because I'm an ethical person to do good. And we say, you can't walk into a room like that. After I was introduced and my bio, which is absolutely fucking amazing, but my bio was read, I got up there and I said, and then I'm a Black girl from the South Side of Chicago. I got two kiddos I birthed, and I have a, I have me a bonus child. I have two snakes. I have this. This is who I am. Those titles mean shit when it comes to saving lives and getting to know people. So we've moved away from it takes time. It is a whole oven, and I get the sense of urgency because I feel it in spaces where more people show up in whiteness and ready to do the work. And I say, before you can do the work, it's just like harm reduction. You have to ask me, what do I need? What do I need? It's so much more powerful than coming in saying, I know what you need and I got it. Because no, you don't. No, you don't. You don't know. And you know what? Truth be told, a lot of times I don't even know what I need because I don't recognize how Henrietta Lacks and her situation of being consentless medical care has impacted me. I don't, Sarah Bartman, I don't connect to Sarah Bartman's story because I may not know my history around how the body of Black women was exploited. I may not know the story about the slave woman, the African woman who was tested on and treated like a sex object to just birth. I may not know that. So because I don't know these connections, I may not even really know what the problem is. But when you come in and you give me the opportunity and you ask, what what can I do? Now I'm like, oh shit, I need to use the bathroom. I don't know. Like I have an opportunity. So and that's it takes time. It's time building relationships. What I like to say though is once that relationship is built, the magic happens. And it may feel instant. You start to see things happen. You see movement happen. You see people move around. You see lives saved because you've invested on the front end. We forgot that when we were kids, when our parents taught us how to make friends. Go in there, tell them your name, tell them your favorite thing you like to do. We forgot how to become friends, how to get to know each other. And we've allowed our society to dictate that.
Yeah, well, we're breaking out and we're breaking the mold, and capitalism and individualism are poisons to humanity, which has only been able to survive as long as it has because of community.
Absolutely.
It really does take a village, and I'm going to say that together we were able to bring those numbers down, not in one community or the other community, but in all communities.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying all lives matter. I'm not, okay?
Right.
Somebody's saying, because I know, that's the thing. That's the thing.
You start seeing that, people be like, wait a minute.
See, when you're me and you talk as free and as open as you do, people judge.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay holding that for anybody, because we're all mirrors. anyways. We're just reflecting back what we're unable to see in ourselves. That's why this is really scary. Relationship. That's
It
why
is.
it's really scary. This intimacy
Mhm.
and this trust and this safety. The reason it's so scary because I can't really connect with you and talk to you, Sharita, if I don't know myself.
Oh, that's big. And that plays a part too. To know and own, to know yourself. Um, Another example to folks in the audience and on live is a gift I gave to folks who didn't look like me. Is I said, you are not black, and that's so okay. That means you do not know. It is so okay to not know. And I looked at him and said, and I am not white. I have no clue. When we can own that we are not those people that we are trying to fix or save or do whatever our best intent, when we sit back and be like, I don't know, then you can say, well, what do I do to get to know? Well, I bring the people to the table. You start to open yourself up. Knowing who you are is one of the first steps. I guess that would be where it would start then, as we unpack that. And going back to what I said in the beginning, not being afraid to make that mistake. You're going to.
Yeah.
You're going to make a mistake. I don't know how many people who work in the field of social service make mistakes often with language, right? There's antiquated language and substance use disorder that people are still using to this day. And there are the people who are willing and open and receptive and ready to grow are the people who actually use the language by accident. And then I can go, hey, you know what? We don't use that anymore. That's what we. It's okay. We're going to make mistakes. If we don't ever walk into this space, which is why I said, be okay with the fact I may still walk away from that initial contact feeling some type of way, feeling tokenized. I'm going to have feelings. You can't stop feelings. You can't stop a person from feeling this way because this may have been that experience for that person.
And other people's feelings aren't your responsibility.
There you go. He's also a therapist, LCSW over here.
But you know what? I'm over here thinking, okay, all this is cool, but am I still coming to the cookout?
I don't know. We saw Sinners. And this is what I'm going to say. If you ain't seen Sinners yet, Henry, the black community has been meeting regularly after Sinners. I know, look at y'all laughing out there. Look, we've been meeting after Sinners like, well, damn. So if you ain't seen Sinners yet.
No, it's on my list.
Oh my God. Well, when
Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, listen, when you watch it, you're going to think about this moment right here. You're going to be like, shit, I may not be able to come to the cookout no more. Listen, it's the black folks got a talking to, the ones who are open and woke and receptive. So I have to tailor that. But black folks did, and there's some reckoning that's going on right now. And I'm not making it up. For folks in the audience here and online, what you are witnessing right now is a reckoning with ourselves and understanding at the root, culturally, how connected and how disconnected we've become in America. So it is art, and art this year, I got to say, KYHRC kicked it off in our 10-year anniversary with art being the movement and a revolutionary act of love. We did. This year, we got some more coming for you, so stay tuned. Yes. But art right now is taking front and center on really helping us take a look at ourselves, at who we are as a people. And if people really lean into the discomfort of it all, we're going to be coming together differently. It is uncomfortable, but it is growth. So see Sinners. And then we gonna follow up because we might even talk about it on the next podcast. That once you see it, we'll talk about it on the follow because it's a lot to unpack, but it's relevant to what we're talking about of how do we truly engage for real. Um,
Well, on the other side of that, like with white people, is this incredible amount of guilt.
mm,
But there's a disconnection from the guilt because there's this strong pull to caretake, to people please, and to rescue folks that don't need no saving.
I was gonna ask you about the guilt while Ryan get our mics together. You got us, Ryan. 'Cause you know I'm gonna blast you on here. Now that we in person, I can cut up. I want to ask you a question though.
Yeah.
I'm curious about this guilt because logically, Henry, you did not put chains on my wrist. You did not whip me. You didn't you didn't have me on the plantation. You, Henry Lucas, right here in front of me. So I struggle with a white person having so much guilt before you even get to engage and figure out where you land in this. Like, where is that guilt? Where is that guilt coming from? Because there's logic to this now too. And if I feel anger and frustration over my history that I know about behind me, but if you don't even understand where racism came from or understand your connection to how America was built, how are you carrying this guilt as a white person?
How could, at the core, unless someone is absolutely evil, how could you, at your core, not feel bad about the actions that have been done toward your brothers and sisters? And then that guilt it's transferred genetically. It's in our cellular makeup. See, we're all impacted by it. But then I sit in modern day and I sit back and I look at the discrepancies. I look at the differences. I look at how laws and rules and regulations, opportunities impact. And I may not necessarily on a personal level, but historically, we all carry that with us. But we're not willing to have the conversation. Now, I relatively have no guilt.
Right.
Because I've done my own work within myself, in the realm of my spiritual beliefs, and our conversations. Each conversation we have it's helping me heal. It's helping align all of those stories and all of those narratives and all of the things that I was brought up.
I sat with that and I think I was still holding on or maybe letting it simmer when you said, how could someone hear and know and not feel bad? And I get that. And I'm going to sit with what you said because it makes sense. And what I'm hoping is that others heard what you said, the work that it takes, the intentional work that it takes.
Here's what happens though, okay? If I'm feeling something and I'm not sure what it is, and if I haven't reconciled that within myself, it's going to come out in a lot of unhealthy ways. And so one way that it comes out, if I repress my guilt, if I'm not healing, resolving, reconciling the guilt that is within me, then I'm going to do something. And because I don't want to feel bad, because I generally like most people, I don't want to feel bad if I take care of somebody, if I rescue somebody, if I make people like me, then I don't have to feel that guilt. But it is always there, just simmering on a low heat. And the moment that it comes up, we want to push it down. And that's why, like, honestly, like, most white people in this space get on my nerves. Because I see it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I see it. And I don't say this a lot, but what I believe is using our power and using our privilege to really create space so that other people can lead.
And that is what I wanted to share in a room the other day. There was someone who was sharing, wanting to know what to do. And that's what gets on my nerves sometimes with well-meaning.
People be getting on our nerves.
They do. They get on our nerves a whole lot. But well-meaning white people is, we need to do something. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And I have a perfect example of what to do instead of saving. There was a panel discussion that Henry was on at the Muhammad Ali Center. He was asked to be on this panel discussion. And Henry saw the panel discussion list, the panelists, and there was first there wasn't any women. Was there any women? And there was not a Black person.
Let me guess. White men?
Yes.
Okay. Just making
So, right, no. And so Henry reached out to see my availability and was like, hey, I'm about to recommend you be on this panel. And it was on the topic that we're discussing, harm reduction. There's your to-do. And what I find frustrating is that I enter spaces and people are like, I saw this thing happening and I walked away angry or guilty. And I'm sitting there like, the moment to do something was in that moment. So if someone comes in to your agency and says, we're going to do DEI, and you're a primarily white agency, and now you have a white person leading this whole discussion on how to engage Black and brown folks, they didn't have anyone co-facilitated. Your first thing was to raise your hand and say, I'm sorry, why are we doing this? This isn't okay. It's to offer the solution. It's to step in. Everything you're saying after the meeting doesn't count. What did you do at the meeting? What did you do in preparation for that?
Well, meaning well doesn't really mean shit. Meaning well still causes harm. It doesn't
Right.
produce any outcome or any results, just to mean well. I feel good about what I'm doing is basically what we're saying.
And there was a lot of meaning well before last year's numbers started to drop. We've been doing harm reduction for years. Our organization specifically has been doing it over 10 years. There's been a lot of meaning well work. So when we talk about what works, when we celebrate, we want to be intentional in the conversation to recognize that it's not a time to stop. It's to continue. I wanted to talk because the meaning well keeps resonating. There's a question to unpack. And we're about to engage our audience members too, and those that are on live. But I want to talk about the celebrating piece, because I'm gonna tell y'all, when Henry said he wanted to celebrate at first, I had to sit with it. I had to reflect because I'm angry.
I knew it was going to be tough.
You know, shit. I was like, I'm ready to go in. Like, no. right? It's difficult because I'm still angry. Shit. Like we just had these numbers drop. Like, no, move the needle more. But I really sat with that and was like, but wait a minute. I'm negating all the work that people have done. We can't keep doing, if we sit back and don't celebrate, honestly, it gives people with power to say, see, you don't need no more because it didn't work. We want to show that what we do is working. So, but there's a danger to that, Henry. There's a danger. There's a real danger to celebrating. How do we truly balance that? Because there's people who's watching this who look like me, who are feeling more like me too, initially how I felt. Like, no, fuck that. I'm not doing that. But look what's happening here. Look what's happening there. How do we balance? Let's celebrate and yet still.
Yeah, yeah. Well, capitalism almost got us on this one because I'm focusing on damn percentages and not people. And many people are alive right now and tonight uh, because harm reduction is available. And so that's what we're celebrating. We're not celebrating damn percentages,
Right.
numbers, and fractions and stuff.
Right.
You know, we don't even like math for real.
We don't.
But what we're celebrating is all of the hard work that we put in and all of the people that have taken a chance on themselves to not give up. That's
Yeah.
what we're celebrating. Every time someone walks by this window here,
Mhm.
that's what we're celebrating.
Yeah.
Every time I look out at our audience and I see you here, that's what we're celebrating.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but that's built on the legacy of those that aren't here to celebrate. We still celebrate them though.
Both and. Both and. Pause for a minute and online. If I want to celebrate you, if harm reduction saved your life, I would love for you to acknowledge yourself in a space. And if you want to share how it saved your life, we have a mic. If you want to take a few seconds to just share how harm reduction, but we want to celebrate. And then online, if there's anyone that harm reduction shared your life, saved your life, we want Brian to share um, to us on the mic who that is. So anyone in here where harm reduction saves your life online? So here comes Ryan. Thank you.
Hey, you guys, I'm Meredith White, and I just want to say that without harm reduction, and had it been people that weren't given harm reduction, these are people who, got it underground. I wouldn't be alive. I wouldn't be alive had it not been for Narcan. Not once, not twice, not 5 times. I'd like to say. I would like to say it's been many, many times. I'm not here for no reason, and I literally watched you save a life probably when I got here. So harm reduction is real.
Thank
Drugs
you.
don't discriminate, but you know what? Harm reduction and people it does for a lot of communities.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that, Meredith. Thank you. And then if someone, just let us know if someone says something.
Yeah, I just went online to see, well, what does the word celebrate actually mean?
Mhm.
And it means to acknowledge with a social gathering or enjoyable activity, or to honor or praise publicly. So this is a celebration.
This is.
Yeah.
It is. Thank you for sharing that. Wow. When I see someone in a space where these resources that in some places people are banned from using and see someone walking around saying, nope, I'm here, and to imagine that seat being empty. That truth right there is so, I can't imagine just being like poof. You're not here. This is not, we don't take that lightly. So thank you for sharing that. When it comes to the balance, and before, let me take a quick pause because our guy is looking at us. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.
And donate.
And donate.
And donate.
And
We
don't
are, we are
forget
a
to
non, we
donate.
are a nonprofit, and
A real
any-
nonprofit, not the
any-
for-profit nonprofit.
any commitment helps. If you can't donate financially, you go to our website, kyhrc.org, and we have availability spots to be able to volunteer. So if you can't donate financially, you can donate in whatever way feels good for your current circumstances. So
Yes.
we appreciate any support.
We do have a comment online from Jennifer Twyman. Definitely saved mine. Gave me a different way to think and talk about my own process. No stigma, no judgment. And now the work I do, which is totally based in harm reduction, saves my life every day.
Ooh, thank you, Jennifer. Jennifer is one of our partners that work for Voices of Community Activists and Leaders, Vocal Kentucky, right across the way from here. Thank you for sharing that. And I was going to say that too. Harm reduction for me, it's been a game changer. It's been a game changer. I have this friend, and this longtime harm reductionist, Matt LaRocco. He's not going to see this, but y'all can tell him I talked about him. I remember he came to me many moons ago when I worked at another organization in town, and he told me I was ambivalent about substance use in our shelter. It was like, this is harm reduction. And I was like, no, this is what we're gonna do. This is what treatment is, and this is the route we go. And man, oh man, it's been over 10 years ago. And that was I always like to say that was the seed planted. I didn't have the words for the way that I was operating in the world of substance use disorder and prevention, but harm reduction gave me the words of what I've been doing. I didn't realize this space existed the way it did. And learning how to reduce harm in my life for myself is not just something we do for work. It's actually a movement and a healing journey of transformation. And so for me, harm reduction has been definitely a lifesaver and a career saver. I think I would have left this field eventually.
Can't do that.
Yeah. I think the way that I was approaching and moving, yeah. Harm reduction gave me the new language of recovery, any positive change. So
I feel like we just went down damn memory lane with you just
yes,
now.
y'all did. Y'all did. Thanks for the journey, joining me. For our audience, another one. Do you have a program or a person or a practice? Because as we're talking about celebration and how is impacted, harm reduction in and of itself may not be it. But this is the cool thing about harm reduction is we practice it all day, every day. We really do. I hope that people that traveled here by car use a seatbelt. We have those now. If you're traveling, if you're listening on your radio, on your traveling, I hope you're using your seatbelt. If you are abstaining from mind and mood altering substances while you are operating your vehicle, that's practicing harm reduction. If you use the walkway and you use a rail to make sure that you don't fall, if you know that your gait may be off and you use harm reduction, we practice harm reduction
using a toothbrush,
Oh, using a toothbrush.
and then going to see your dentist if that's your thing. It's harm reduction.
Harm reduction. So, in the celebratory nature of harm reduction, 28 minutes. What's a program or a person or a practice in your community, whichever community that may be, that helped you thrive, that made life what it needed to be for you? And I ask that to our audience, and to our live audience as well. What person, program, activity, or practice do you celebrate that's giving you any positive change, that's giving you this transformation for yourself? I would love to hear that. While we wait, we can ask Henry to share.
Am I coming to the cookout? I'm still stuck there, you know. I'm tired of eating the same bland food every day. Okay. I'm kidding. Um, you know, for me, harm reduction is, you know, I have young kids, and you know, harm reduction is it's a couple things at its foundation,
Mm,
and one is safety, right? The other one, though, that doesn't really get a lot of play, which I think we really struggle with as people, is consent.
mm,
Like, we don't really get consent. Like, we hug who we want to hug, we take people's space when we want to take it, and we don't really get consent. And you know, there's a respectability and an honoring that happens when we get people's permission.
mm.
You're invited to the table,
Right.
right? You give permission. And so with harm reduction, as a father, I could see it having the greatest impact in my life as a father, leading from a place of harm reduction. It's like, well, what's my job as a parent is like, okay, keep your kids safe and let them, you know, find their voice. And so it's like, I could certainly, you know, don't do that. Get off that. You're gonna get hurt. You're gonna get injured. You know, get it out of your mouth. And some of it is valid, but honestly, a lot of times, I might parent based off how I feel.
Mm,
So if I'm anxious about what my child's doing, the best way to deal with my anxiety is to just shut it down. We going inside. Okay, everybody.
right.
And so, but there's another way,
Mm,
right? Because there is risk involved, and risk is necessary. And if we are always disempowering people, they will never learn from the risks they take and the choices they make to find the confidence in themselves to speak about what's really important to them.
mm. That's powerful. That's powerful.
We have a comment from Jennifer Twyman, and she says, Donald Davis helped me more than words can say, gave me a new language to use.
Mm. Yes.
Donald was one of the first founders of KYHRC.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Donald Davis. He's coming back too. Do some
Really?
policy work with us.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's also another comment from Jennifer Twyman, and the book's Chasing the Scream by Johann Hari and Drug Use for Grown-Ups by Dr. Carl Hart.
Mm.
Oh yeah, Dr. Carl Hart
Yeah.
was actually in
At-
Columbia.
In Columbia?
He was in Columbia. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
You told him to come visit us?
No.
Oh, damn. I know.
You know, there's like celebrities in this space too. So sometimes like it's hard to like, you know, I'm sure you probably feel the same way when you're
When-
out. You
yeah.
have a line of people that are wanting to, you know, talk to you to get pictures, and stuff like that, it's hard to manage all of the different complexities of the relationship.
It is. It is.
So no, he's not gonna come. You want me to reach out to him? Though, I
Oh,
can?
yes, of course. I'm trying to get Sam to come down too.
Yeah, let's do that.
Jennifer Henry met Sam. I got a picture of them two together. She's over there cackling, I know. Yeah, that was great. Thank you, Jennifer. She's the only one in our audience right now. I love it though. Good, good. Speak up, you guys. Engage with us. Um, I I love hearing. I love to hear how people are impacted and really like to be silent in their moments because the world, the noise right now is overpowering. There's so much being thrown at us, and it's like this is our opportunity to really let it scream loud that what we're doing does work, and there are people who are impacted that will speak on that. So I enjoy hearing how people are showing up in these spaces, and it makes me feel good. It really does. It makes me feel good. How do we truly continue to protect and expand this though in such an uncertain climate? And I think that's where the sadness is for me. Is people need this work, and then there's the people who speak and say, I did need it, I used it. And then we see the drop in numbers, but then we see the funding cuts, and we see the policy changes, and we see the closing of spaces, of safe
More law
spaces,
enforcement,
and more law
more
enforcement.
surveillance.
Yes. Pre-crime, that's
Yeah.
what Minority Report. I think of that, but we see more of that.
We cannot give up. We have to keep going, right? And I think one of the things that we share, what I know about your life is like we are not just resilient, but we persevere, right? Like regardless of what obstacles, what challenges, how hard it gets, how bad it sucks, like we all have to keep going. And if we keep speaking out and speaking up, and if we keep moving forward, then we'll continue to see, I believe, over time, the changes that we've seen. And we've come so far, but we also have more ways to go. Like I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, okay, a 30% decrease, and but what would have made it 50, 60, 70? Why would what's 100%? No fatal overdoses. What does that look like? What still needs to happen? Where do we still need to get to? Who do we have to talk to in order to make that happen? And naloxone is more available now more than ever, which has played a big part in saving lives, right? But people are still buying contaminated drugs off of the street. Okay, well, we have fentanyl test strips. Okay. We have xylazine test strips. Well, there are more contaminants and more adulterants that are coming out all the time, right? So I wonder what kind of impact would like drug checking have? We're having a safe using spot or a safe injection spot. What would that look like? What would it look like to, transition folks from using a syringe to teach them how to safely smoke the drugs? So there are some things, and it's going to take the innovators. It's going to take people that aren't afraid to push the limits. Because that's what we've got to do, is break out of this box that we've been put in. Those are some of my thoughts on that.
I think one of the most valuable lessons and what I've learned on this journey of harm reduction from I went to the National Harm Reduction Conference in Puerto Rico in 2022. Um, we don't ask for permission. We do it. And that's a tough place for a lot of people to be. We didn't ask for permission in the pandemic to start mail-based distribution. We started it.
Yeah.
We started it. But it's how we do the work. A lot of people don't understand what Henry shared is a part of some of our work in discussing decriminalization of substances. And it's a hard concept to hear when your only understanding of drugs and substances is criminalized. If the only, because people hear that, and the first time anyone's heard me say it, they were like, so you just want people to be able to go out and buy heroin openly. I said, well, if heroin became legal, I'm just not going to decide to go out and buy heroin. Sharita, I'm just not. It's the idea that once that happens, now I can, or people who that is not their relationship to that substance now become the thing that they're afraid of.
Well, and not only that, but it's like if heroin is something that is, regulated and sourced ethically, whatever that means. It sounds like I'm damn at Whole Foods. There's a very slim chance that there's going to be any contaminants or poisoning in the heroin supply.
Absolutely.
There's a
So-
comment here from Odell Scott Hager. Eliminate the stigma of drug use, not abuse, as well as experimentation.
Mm.
There will never be a day when people stop using. So let's keep pushing forward with giving Narcan and test strips out to everyone from the streets, the schools, shows, and offices.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you for
Thank
that.
you,
That was-
Odell.
Yeah, that was really good. I wanted to also mention one other thing. Psychedelics deserve a spot at the table for harm reduction.
You've noticed that since
Yeah.
you've come into the space that
I kind of knew it before.
what, and that's cannabis was missing
Yeah.
for a very, and it still was. That was the thing at National Harm Reduction Conference, was the lack of inclusivity when we're talking about all mood or mind altering substances, which is why I'm glad to see us be as involved in wanting more people who are in the field of substance use to get into this side of it and understand.
We got to lower barriers and things like drug testing employees. Really reevaluating a lot of different things, so that we can really start to lift people up. That's really the whole goal here. Isn't to keep people alive.
Right.
It's to lift people up. It's to bring people along. It's to pull people into the community so that
Yeah.
we all have our rightful place here, so that we all deserve the opportunity to really be who we are and to be celebrated from that.
Yeah. And so for those of you that are watching this, because there are some people who are like, listen, I hear all that. And for those of you that follow Kentucky Harm Reduction Coalition page, we see you and we hear you. And our lack of response quickly means that we're really actually thinking about how to respond. But some of the questions that come up around, or statements, drugs need to go away. And I'm paraphrasing. They need to go away. People just need to stop using. What if I said to you just that statement? Okay. And what that does is it actually just drops the barrier of people wanting to argue about it. But let me say this. If you start to think about the person versus the substance, and you think about what we're really talking about, just like we started this off with, what is the Health and Wellness Lounge? Health and wellness, the whole person. What do you need? The idea that substance use has its own identity, or substance rather, has its own identity. Water is water. A pill is a pill. There's no good or bad to it. It is what it is. Me and how I relate to these objects is based on something inside of myself. So put it like this, real simple. If my needs are being met in ways that are healthy, that allow me to move through this world in a way where I feel like I am effective and I can show up the way that I want to show up, the idea that any chaotic behavior or anything that that's going to cause a negative impact to me and the people around me, that will start to go down lower on the options poll. We see it every day.
You know, don't just use drugs. Like, they're not talking about nicotine or caffeine.
Right,
Or
or
alcohol
sugar, or
or
sugar.
right? But also, don't use drugs is a real clever way to having to avoid what's really there, right? Like our health and wellness lounge, which we're in right now. We had a pilot program with Vital Strategies, thank you, and Anthem Medicaid of Kentucky, thank you. And we compiled some data, and the three biggest needs that participants had when they came here was shelter, water, and restroom. Not drugs.
Right.
So what we're looking at is the real challenges that people face. But it's easy to scapegoat it and to blame drugs when there's so much more going on that doesn't even involve drugs.
That's it. That's it. It's a way to look, and it's not a way for us to blame. Like we're not trying to blame. Both of our fields of study and practice is around understanding substance use disorder and how to support people on this journey in life. So we're in it. It's how do I get someone to go to a treatment program when their belly is growling because they haven't eaten anything in days? How do I convince someone?
Or how do you get someone to go to a substance abuse treatment program, but they get denied because they're on certain medications?
There's so many of those layered questions there. And now we have a new wrench.
Yeah.
A new battle for us is, what if my insurance won't cover it? Because Medicaid is now struggling with new barriers in place.
Well, it's been denying and not covering
know.
for a long time, and I've seen people in treatment, when I worked in treatment, at 15 days, have to pack their bags and leave because
Right.
insurance stopped paying. And then I've had people that would want to leave treatment, and they were forced to stay in treatment. Well, you can't just be discharged today, but you can be discharged in the morning, because if you're discharged today, we don't get paid for today.
Right.
So there is so much going on out here, and I'm not here to play cop to none of this.
Right.
But what's going to take is authenticity, us knowing each other, and us taking the risk to get to know other people so that we can really form an alliance, and we are as great as our numbers are.
Yes, we are. With that being said, we are getting closer to closing out. So I want to share something as we are in our celebration. And, we have a large spread here. If you weren't here in the house, you missed out. Our food from Feed Louisville. And then we have like buckets of food flowing out. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing with
I'm
y'all.
thinking, where's that at?
Right. We have Narcan. We had everything available. But the next time, I know you're going to want to be in this space. We'll share though. In celebration, there's some pivots that our organization is taking. And one of the pivots is this will be the first and last show inside of our own health and wellness lounge. We will be closing the doors to this lounge starting July 1. Now, I know y'all like, wait a minute, you just said in the spirit of celebration. And I'm like, I get it. This is the thing. We can't stop, won't stop. All right. The funding crisis and state of uncertainty that our entire country is living through is real. It doesn't mean we get scared and run. We pivot. We take what we know. We take our people and we say, now is to put our action in a very intentional way by occupying spaces that don't have our radical love. We have a lot of partnering organizations that we've learned over these last couple of years that have spaces that they actually been operating for quite some time and been struggling with people not engaging, people not understanding how to show up in this space and access resources, people feeling intimidated because of lack of trust in systems. Well, guess who they have relationships with? Those people who are our same people have relationships with our outreach specialists. In every space, when I look at the data and see where people are coming from, the organizations we partner with, how dope, how cool is it that we get to bring our love into that space? Our harm reduction program manager is in the space today, and she is witness as well as all of us. When we come into that space, they're like, oh, it's just so different. Or when they come into our space, they're like, gosh, you all are doing something different. We're taking that same energy. We won't go away because this work is needed. And we won't allow something to become a barrier to push us out. And this space has become a barrier in so many ways where people have seen that. You've seen the fines. You've seen the message about where harm reduction is going. But we're here to tell you, KYHRC is not going anywhere. We're not.
Well, and if you've got fake energy, you'll feel compelled to take energy. And so this is an opportunity for everybody to be self-sustaining. I don't even know where that came from. You know what I mean?
From Colombia.
I'm about to pull
Fake
up, I'm about to
energy.
pull up with to-go boxes and everything.
Yeah, that was dope.
So where can folks find us at? What's going on next? We got a few minutes left. What's going
All
on?
right, so we're about to wrap up. Please follow us. I broke my pen. Please follow us on our social media platforms. Our next virtual podcast will be on this coming Thursday. I think it's the 15th. Join us then. We are working on the next live and in person, and we will let you know where we're going to be for that one. We will likely be with our partners. Some of our partners, we're going to use space and share space. So stay tuned to that. We also stay tuned. We do have a fundraising opportunity that's coming up. We're going to be doing, make sure I have the poetry and prevention that'll be coming up in June in celebration of Pride Month. Because again, we don't go away, and we're not going to not speak on our communities that are in the shadows and in the margins. But more information to come about that. I think that's, donate. It's on the screen, as Ryan says. In the audience, we have donation cards. Please donate time, talent, treasures. We want to create space for everyone. So if it's not, your treasure isn't right, hey, that's okay. We got space. We got kits that need to be made. We got other ways that you can donate too. We always take cases of water. It's about to get hot outside. We need to make sure that we have water. So you can donate cases of water. You can donate snacks for our snack pack, so it doesn't have to just be financial. Go on our website. Ryan's giving me cues here. Go on our website and you can go to our contact form, and you can also go to the donate button on our website. Follow us. We got a lot of events that are coming up, you guys. We want you to be in our space, and we want to come to your events. Please share events that you have coming up over the summer and see it so we can get some of our volunteers and our board and us out through the contact us form. Anything else, Ryan? Anything else I'm leaving out? Anything I'm leaving out, Alicia? Nope. Contact us for Narcan, for fentanyl and xylazine testing strips. Contact us about trainings that you would need in your community, at your organizations. We're here for you. We're here for our community. Sounds like a wrap? It's been real. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. We'll see you guys soon. See you Thursday.
All right, cue the music.